Hey friends! So, this is your friendly neighborhood instructional consultant, Josh Flores, all the way from Alabama. This video is a quick overview of the online instructional framework presented in our last PD session. It's intended to act as a supplement to the 3-hour training and clarify the main points focused on instruction specifically. While the 3-hour PD covered a lot of the why and justification going into an online framework, this focuses on the technical aspects. As always, results may vary, and you may want to consider adaptations based on your team, your students, and your district goals, but make them as a team. So step 1, determine how long your class period is. Do you have a 30-minute block, a 45-minute block, or a 90-minute block of instruction? That can be really daunting when planning out your day-to-day or week-to-week instruction, so you really want to break it up like Lego blocks. I find it really helpful for me when I break it down, whether you're having that 90-minute or 45-minute or 30-minute, to just narrow it down to 15 minutes. Remember Dr. John Medina's brain rule about attention span? His research suggests that the students average less than 15 minutes before their minds start to wander or daydream. That's what we want to base our instructional time on. How long can we keep students engaged? So we break this up into 15-minute increments with the goal of switching instructional strategies or methods every 15 minutes or so. Now, one caveat that I talked about in our PD is the use of videos, whether you're recording yourself presenting direct instruction or whether you're using videos of someone else made, some YouTube video that you want them to study. Try to narrow it down to like 5 minutes. We really need to show a documentary in class. We want to show little snippets of it and stop, reflect, write, talk about it, and then show the next part. So when we consider these 15-minute blocks, we also want to consider all the strategies we have in our instructional practices toolbox. Look at that, it's glorious. I have a couple of different examples up here that I presented on our trainings over the past couple of years. And if you need a refresher on those, let me know. I will explain those to you as best I can. But we want to sequence our toolbox strategies in a manageable and effective way for students to learn and then be assessed on whatever the objective of the day is. So along with instructional strategies, we need those productive brain breaks, especially if you're teaching a 90-minute class period. Your students probably will need a brain break where they stand up or stretch or engage in something sometimes unrelated to the day's objective, just for fun. That keeps them engaged and awake. We don't want to burn them out too much on the topic. And it depends on your students and their needs and their stamina, how many times you need to take a brain break. If you're teaching fully online, it's a lot more difficult to maintain engagement, but this framework will help keep a student accountable because they will have to participate if you're switching tasks up that requires them to engage with you and their classmates. If they're not completing the tasks that you're assigning in a live instructional environment, then they're not really engaged and they're not eligible for attendance. So credit would not be given. So let's go and fill up this practice one. Let's pretend we're doing a 90-minute lesson over bias, and we have our 15-minute increment blocks broken up. There is our standard. It's the conduct short research, and we're going to focus on bias. So we might open up with our bell ringer, which can be a kind of formative assessment, or it can be a fun little free write that they do at the beginning of the class. And of course, they'll do it, and we will take attendance while they're conducting the bell ringer, and then we'll have extra time to share out their responses to the bell ringer activity, whatever that might be. It might be a writing prompt, it might be a quiz. Then we'll follow that up with a vocab study. I might write the word bias on the board, and they're going to free write for 5 minutes everything they know about the word bias. And then we also have time built into that 15 minutes for them to turn and share out loud to like a partner, an elbow partner, or to the whole class. Third period here, they might do some independent reading or listening. In this activity, I know that I've shared this lesson plan before, but there's a really good podcast about bias from Brains on Science. It's usually intended for middle grades, but it's a great one to have them listen to and then take notes as they independently listen on about bias. After that, we need a brain break. It's been 45 minutes. So I'm going to have them turn and talk, share 3 things that's on their mind to an elbow partner, or share 3 things out to the whole class. Give them a time to stretch and turn and talk. Whether they're sitting in front of a computer or whether they're sitting in a classroom, they need time to turn, talk, and stretch. Then we move on. We bring them back into the fold with something that's not mundane, but very structured activity. So like a quiz. So we'll turn them to quizzes where they'll take a quiz on their phone or on their tablet device about bias. And that gives us enough time for them to log on in the first couple minutes, take the quiz in like 7 minutes, and then review the quiz answers. And that takes up 15 minutes pretty quickly. We'll move on, and totally separate of today's main lesson, we'll do a quick test prep activity because we don't want to cram 2 weeks before the test. We just kind of want to layer on those test prep strategies and test prep work that we might, or test practice work that we might be doing in our curriculum throughout the year. And then we come back and we finally in class with a quick formative assessment about bias, some sort of extension activity that they would do. Maybe it's retaking the quiz, but all the questions and answers are mixed up and they just do it again to see if they really got it down. Did they use their notes for the formative assessment? Did they take good notes and show that they researched really well? It might look different, of course. We can switch it up in many different ways. This is what it might look like if we had 2 brain breaks, where they might have to have a time where they watch a humorous video and you just wanted to share, hey, I saw this funny GIF and I wanted you to explain it to me. What's the cultural relevance, the pop cultural relevance of this GIF I found online? Or, hey, I just want to do a quick meditative practice just to calm us because it's been a long day already. But maybe have a shorter class period, and so it'll just be something more like this, where you have 2 strategies crammed into that 15 minutes. So like in this 15 minutes, for this 45-minute class, the first 15 minutes, while they're doing a bell ringer, they might also be preparing to take a quiz while you're taking attendance. Then in the middle, we do a lot more independent reading, and we create a shared Word document where we all take notes over the reading together in class. And then, of course, the last 15 minutes, we take a formative assessment after we stretch, just a quick brain break, because we do not have as much time to get everything done. So we don't want to take brain breaks like a 5-minute meditation. We just want to take a 2-minute stretch. Now, if attendance issues continue to persist and you've already made attempts to meet one-on-one with students or family, please notify the school counselor for help. They should be able to reach out to the student or family and gain some helpful feedback for us. Finally, if you find that you've given this a shot and you've adjusted it and it still doesn't seem to be getting the results that you need, let's try something else. One thing that hasn't changed is the fact that not everything works 100% of the time for 100% of the students, and we always have to try something else when this stops working. I do hope this framework is helpful to the majority of students. If it isn't, we will rest and come back and continue to make adjustments. Until then, thanks for listening, and take care of yourself, take care of your students, and take care of each other.